How are we doing, guys? And welcome back to All These TV. It is your transfer window reaction video. Myself and CK, we're going to assess the business Leeds United have done this transfer window. And anything you guys want us to talk about, let us know, guys, in the comments down below. Smash that like button if you haven't done already. Hit the subscribe button as well. I hope you like the little studio, which is making a return as well. It might have been a little part of the delay in getting this video started. Me arsing around with the camera, basically. CK trying not to laugh. Let's get into it. CK, how are things with you first and foremost, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm busy with work, so which keeps me out of bother, mate. Which is the main thing, innit?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I mean, listen, we got ourselves a win against the mighty Aki Stanley as well. It feels a bit better about the place, I think. But yeah, listen, let's get into it then. The first deal we got done over the window, Max Wober. I mean, it's been a pretty perfect signing so far, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I mean, the bigger tests are to come for him, obviously, but we've seen everything we'd want to see from him as a new signing so far. You can only play what's in front of you, etc. So,
Move that forward a bit.
Here he comes. Look,
that better.
Go on, keep going.
See, people are going to say, "Oh, you're going too close now. You're going too close." Oh, it's a work in progress, this lad.
That'll be all right.
That's all right.
Live adjustments.
There we go.
You don't get this on ITV News, do you?
You don't. Right then.
Yeah, that's all right,
better?
mate.
Is that
better?
Yeah,
that's all right.
Right then.
On Wober, mate.
I mean, the price paid as well. We've got it pretty spot on.
Yeah, definitely. You can only play what's in front of you, mate, and he's been good for me, really good, to be fair. And I think there's more to come from him as well. He looks like a leader at the back, which, especially when Coops isn't there as captain, we desperately have needed. And he looks like he organises people. Dare I say, you know, with his quality of leadership, maybe he can even make a left back out of Firpo yet. Drag him around with him, but I mean, that might be a test too much, but we'll see. Yeah.
But he's improving the players around him, mate. You know, listen, Robin Koch, I think, putting in much better performances since Max Wober's, been around the place. Christensen, to an extent, I can see it, mate. You know, sometimes you do see from a leader, which I think Wober is. We've already mentioned that. It does improve the players around him. That's what a great leader does. And listen, I think it's been a really smart bit of business so far. It's definitely out of all the players we brought in from Salzburg, he's been the one that's fitted in the quickest, I think, by quite a distance. So you have to say it's spot on in that regard in terms of we need to improve the back line. We seem to have done that. Whether we could get someone else in, who knows? But listen, we seem to have done that already with that signing. Let's talk about the next signing along. Georginio Rutter, again, made his debut against Accrington Stanley. It's difficult to gauge it just from Accrington Stanley, but I liked what I saw. To be honest, mate, I like what I saw from him. I think this is another one where, listen, the price might seem a bit heavy considering, he's not scored a lot of goals this season. He's not coming off the back of wonderful form for Hoffenheim, but this could be a really, really shrewd bit of business, as the season goes on.
Oh, mate, I'm really excited by him, to be honest with you. I mean, to say he hadn't played competitive football for nearly, over 2 months, I think it was, by the time he played against Accrington Stanley. He looked relatively sharp. You can see what he's all about. He's an absolute powerhouse, which I think is probably one thing we miss. And it looks like we've signed another powerhouse today who's not scared of getting his elbows out either. So I think there's a lot to come from Georginio Rutter. And we've got goals in this team and a supply in this team with Willie Gnonto, Cini, Jack Harrison and others. And I think he'll be one to knock goals in. I really do. I like what I saw again. Caveat, it's Accrington Stanley, but like I say, he hadn't played in over 2 months competitively, and he looked like he just stepped in almost seamlessly.
Let's read some comments as well from Let's Experience as an interesting name. Wober, Rutter, McKennie, and Monteiro as well. Or Montero, I'm not 100% how to pronounce that yet, but it is looking like, to me, mate, it's looking like a fantastic. It's a 9 out of 10 window, to be honest with me. Maybe you could push to higher, but I can't think of a January window that we've had recently where we've done anything like this kind of business. If we're lucky to get one signing in January, never mind what looks like potentially 3 top signings, all strengthening the weaker areas of the team. Yeah, I think every Leeds fan would have accepted left back / left sided centre back, midfield, and centre forward where we were light in this team.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I mean, for me, I probably rate it an 8, but a really positive 8. I think we're probably one signing short for me because I'm greedy, and that's another defensive-minded player, whether that's a left back or another centre back. So Wober could go out to left back, but that's me being really greedy. They can't throw any complaints towards the board for the work they've done. I think it's been superb and really well thought out signings. Whoa. I don't know what becomes really well thought out signings as well for me. There doesn't seem to, you see Chelsea just buying anyone that's initially talked about as maybe wanting a transfer or available.
Yeah.
These all feel really well thought out and definitely players we needed in the right positions. So I was worried about midfield. McKennie solves that issue in central midfield for me. The one area, like I said, I'd probably still like a bit more strength is in the defence. But again, that's me just being greedy, mate.
And I guess there's another question as well is, do you see any more players coming in? We're going off the basis that obviously Diego Llorente is a player that's going the other way, it looks like. It looks like he's going to Roma. Do you see a more experienced right-sided centre-back coming in? Or is Montero the direct backup or direct replacement for Diego Llorente?
Mate, from the 7.5 minutes I've seen of Montero on YouTube, is Ben White 2.0. But
Portuguese Ben White.
Yeah, I don't think we're done, mate. I think Victor ought to pull something out the hat tomorrow, whether it's just a loan or something like that, or we bring in a more experienced. I'd love to see a really experienced, around a 30-ish age sort of range right centre back to come in. And I know Koch and Wober have looked really good there, and I'm not saying a Thiago Silva, like, you know what I mean? We're not talking those levels, but of that ilk, someone who can come in, reads a game so well, and just really adds that last bit of solidity to the back line. But again, that's me being really greedy, mate. I don't think we're done. I think the fact that McKennie's coming in on an initial loan says to me there might still be a bit of business going on in the background, a bit of cash to play with.
It's an interesting one. I mean, we've not even really spoken about McKennie too much. Obviously, that is still technically, I think, to be fully confirmed, but it's pretty much feels like
he's confirmed it, hasn't he, on his socials, which have quickly been removed.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, we'll take it as it's done then. We will take it as it's done. If it's not done, don't blame us. It's done. This is the official All EC exclusive. The deal is done. We're getting messages that the deal is done. 100%. Right. With Weston McKennie, listen, I wasn't particularly happy that Click went, but I look at Weston McKennie and think, okay, in terms of profile of midfielder, it's a bit of a like replacement. Obviously, McKennie, I think there's a much bigger upside to. He's, 10 years younger than Click, I think, maybe a little bit more than that even. Playing for Juventus, albeit maybe it's not been the dream move from Juventus so far. But this on paper looks like a very wise bit of business, especially with Jesse Marsch's style of football. We know he wants his midfielders to be intense, high pressing, hard working. And maybe when Tyler Adams isn't on the pitch, we really feel it. Is this where Weston McKennie comes in and you say, okay, we're not going to have to play Rocker and Greenwood in midfield together against, in the Premier League. We can play Weston McKennie there as well. We have other options. It's not just Tyler Adams or bust now to an extent with this Leeds midfield.
No, I said Rutter is like the signing that excites me most. Weston McKennie for me is the best signing we've made this window. I think he suits everything about the way we play. Clicky was a sort of a number 8 player, but was coming to the end of his career. He didn't have the legs for 90 minutes of Premier League football. Weston McKennie has. He's an absolute powerhouse. He loves those last minute runs into the box, but he'll also track back and help Tyler Adams because Rocker's a superb player of football, but he's not the most mobile. And I think McKennie gives us a bit more mobility in and around Tyler Adams as well. I think that 3 as a midfield, if we wanted to go like a 4-3-3, it's so strong. I mean, we saw the way the USA midfield schooled England's midfield at the World Cup, and 2 of those players are now going to be hopefully in our starting lineup. So, it's all. I think he's the best signing, mate. I do. Like I say, Rutter's the exciting one. because of what he brings up front. But for me, the best signing is McKennie. I think he gives us everything we've been missing as a team and the way we play football.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's interesting. I know it'd be typical of Leeds, this, but the way I look at some of our signings now, I'll kind of look at what other positions they can play. And Weston McKennie's actually played most of the season at right back for Juventus.
Yeah.
And listen, we've not had the most convincing. No one's really made that right back spot there. I'm not saying that we're going to do that straight away. Oh yeah, Weston McKennie's brought in to play at right back, but it is an option. It is an option. If we're chasing the game late on, put McKennie to right back and Rutter and go with that more creative midfield. It's just interesting how we're going to set up, because obviously on Saturday we kind of had Rutter kind of playing as a second striker and then kind of a right winger. It's like sort of a hybrid kind of role kind of thing. We didn't really have a natural right winger on the pitch. It'd be interesting to see how we do set up now long term. Are we going to go with that midfield three, as you said, like that USA way of having the passer in midfield, in terms of Rutter. USA had a similar thing with Musa. Obviously, we've not got Musa in the team, but it's a similar kind of balance other than that. Obviously, you've already got McKennie, you've already got Tyler Adams, you already got Brendan Aronson as well. So it is very interesting. It feels like the signing, a lot of it's come from, to me, I'm not saying this is in the know stuff, but it feels to me like watching that America World Cup performance. So I thought, okay, Musa was difficult to get, but Weston McKennie's gettable. We've seen how he works with Tyler Adams. We can put Tyler Adams a bit deeper, sitting actually out and out in that KP role where he's just on his own, kind of holding the midfield together, but he's shown he can do it as well. So it is interesting from that point of view. And this is very true as well. Buying Juventus players, we are in the big time now. Listen, I think Chiesa's free. I still think Chiesa's available. So we know Victor Orta likes a winger. It would not be a transfer window without Leeds United bringing in a winger. When's the last time Leeds didn't bring a winger in over a transfer window? I'd love to know that, actually. I think it was Dan James, actually, when we didn't get Dan James over the line that time. I think that's the last time we didn't sign a winger in a window. So we know Victor Orta loves a winger. But let's see. I'd be very surprised if we did sign a winger. But yeah, I agree with this on Gale Dale. And just touching on CK's point, there's no excuses now for this Leeds team second half of the season. This Leeds team quite simply has to stay up. For me, it has to be trying to push high up the table where it is at this moment in time. We've never really seen a manager in the last sort of 20 years, I think, backs this much, to be totally honest with you. We're going to have other debates as well. Tash is going to jump in on that one tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I think 9 o'clock. Do keep an eye out for that one. We're going to have a discussion on Jesse Marsch. But it has to be said, the board had a lot of criticism last season. It's had criticism at times this season. If Leeds United fail to achieve their goals this season, it's not down to the board. For me, it has to be down to the coaching staff and playing staff now. They've got all the tools there available. It has to work now, CK.
Oh, 100%, mate. There's only one place that fingers can be pointed now if it doesn't work out as it should, and that is at the head coach. It's as simple as that. Everyone's, me included, have pointed fingers at the board in the past, sometimes quite rightly. I think we did stagnate after finishing ninth. I think we rested on our laurels a little bit. But they've put that right in the last two windows for me now. And Jesse's got to get this right. And I agree with you. Finishing 16th, 17th is probably not good enough either. As much as we take it right now with how the league looks, it probably isn't good enough either. I think it keeps him in a job for next season. But for me, it's not good enough. We've got to be looking at the bottom half of mid-table now. 12th, 13th and finishing there this season for me. With this squad, mate. And then this squad's got to kick on next season if we survive with a couple more additions, because the front line we've got and now an improving midfield, we do a bit more work on that defence, and it's got top 10 squad written all over it for me.
It does. I think it's just another centre back or maybe another defender making the impact Berber's made away from being a really, really good team. And that's all you could ask for, really. We should mention as well, Jesse Marsch has been able to bring in a replacement for Mark Jackson and Chris Armas. So again, further back in there, further belief shown in Jesse Marsch from the board. And that's how it should be, in terms of if this project's going to fail, it's going to fail because the coach isn't good enough. I'm just saying, if it did fail, now it's going to be down to the coach not being good enough or not being able to get the best out of these players. It'll be down to the players not performing. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be down to the board making mistakes. They've done their bit. That's all you can kind of ask for in terms of the running of the club, as far as I'm concerned. Listen, the way it's happened, last season, I think we'd have all loved to have avoided. I think we'd have loved to have seen these additions when we finished ninth in the table. But when you learn from mistakes, that's a pretty big thing as well. And there's going to be mistakes. There's always going to be mistakes. We're a mid-table championship team. I don't need to go into a big thing about that, but there was going to be mistakes along the road. And the board, for me, whichever way you want to say it, did the 49ers fund some of these signings? Was that a part of some of these signings coming in? I don't really care, to be honest. I really don't care. I don't know about UCK. I really don't care about that. The main thing is, at Leeds United got the squad to keep themselves in this league. I think they 100% have, to be totally honest with you. I think even for injuries, I think we're covered on that front. There's a bit of talk and rumours about Rodrigo potentially having a minor injury. We've got Bamford and Rutter now to fill in. Robin Cox injured. We've got Verber and Stewart Cooper as options. Sorry, Robin Cox not injured. Robin Cox suspended for Forest. We've got 3 options there, to play instead of Robin Cox, and that's kind of what you want, really. So I can't really ask for much more than that. And it is for me a lot of pressure now on Jesse Marsch. His next 3 games I think are very key. They're difficult games. I'm not going to say they're easy games. They're not easy games at all. But we now have to start seeing the results out of this. We're actually on less points at this stage of the season than we were last season. So we have to start getting the results now. This is a really key part of the season. We saw this time last year how this kind of point of the season was very key. Ultimately, it was the downfall of Marcelo Bielsa. Jesse Marsch has got to make sure that's not him himself, to be totally honest with you as well. We have got the cup draw as well. That's something else to mention as well, CK, because we have got Fulham or Sunderland away.
Shocking.
According to this. So, listen, it's not impossible to win that game. If it's Sunderland, you'd be expecting to win that game, but Fulham away, listen, it's not going to be an easy game. They've been very good this season, but low-key, there's a bit of an opportunity to go on the cup run as well now with this bigger squad.
Oh, yeah, mate. You know what I've been like last couple of seasons, screw the cup, can't be bothered with it. You get yourself in that mindset that we never see past the 3rd round anyway. Now, all of a sudden, we're talking heading towards quarterfinals, semi-finals and all the rest of it. And that Fulham-Sunderland tie, yes, it's away. Both will be pretty difficult. Luckily, Joffrey will be cup-tied, won't he?
Yeah.
Imagine the scenes. Jesus. Although Jack Clark's up there as well, isn't he? And he scored the other day. But
the scene's set already, isn't it?
Yeah, but either of them are winnable. Like you say, both tough away from home. Stadium are like a cracking atmosphere. It's always a sort of a good away day up there. And Fulham are going really well this season. So, but it's both winnable ties, whichever one we get. The fact they've got an extra game to play because they've got to play the replay yet as well in a really condensed period of fixtures for a lot of clubs at the minute bodes well as well. We got through, by hook or by crook. So yeah, again, we can go off and win that game, no problem. Well, not no problem, but put out a decent team.
No problem. We got our second team could win that game.
Yeah, clip it up.
Probably can now, actually. But no, listen, it's just good to have a good depth now. I was looking at that Atkinson game and thinking, I'm not necessarily worried about fatigue or anything like that because we can just make substitutions. That's what we did on Saturday. Listen, the game went, pretty smoothly for us, but the subs we were able to make, Matteo Joseph got some minutes, Sonny Perkins got some minutes. We were able to rest the likes of Sinistero when the game was won, etc., etc. So I really like what we're building all of a sudden. It's a really exciting squad. You do wish this was what we had, when we finished ninth in the table, but it is what it is. We can only look forward now, and we need a big second half of the season, really, to really kick on, because with having all this talent, the elephant in the room is keeping hold of it in the summer. In terms of the likes of Willie Gnonto, we're not naive enough to think that Willie Gnonto is not going to attract interest in the summer. There's no doubt about it. His age, the fact he's an Italian international, we have to kick on ourselves to convince people like Willie Gnonto to stay another season like Rafinha did. Aidan Mellier, Pascal Struik, all these different players. With having all this talent, we have to deliver results, not only to stay in the league, but to keep this going. Because if the results start to dip, this talent's going to leave the club. It's as simple as that. And I've said to you before, CK, that my worst fear is losing this talent on for cut price fees if we went down. That is unthinkable. That is absolutely unthinkable that we could lose all this talent, for cut price fees. So we have to kick on now. Have to kick on.
Yeah, we do, mate. It's we know what Victor does when he goes off to sign these players. He sells the project, right? It's a big part of the sell when we go to approach players about Leeds United. And if the project again in another 12 months is sat 14th, 15th, 16th in the Premier League, people start going, this project's not going anywhere really, is it? And they do, quick word with their agents, and all of a sudden they're in the shop window. I do think everyone we've brought in, we get at least another season out of, which is great. I don't see any big outs of the newer players in the summer. I think there might be a couple who have been around the club longer. I think if potentially Jack doesn't go this window, which I don't think he will, I think that's all a bit of noise on Twitter. I don't think Jack Harrison's going anywhere. But I could potentially see someone like Jack moving on in the summer. But Weston McKennie will then sign as long as we stay up. He then is bought for I think 33 million euros. I mean, us spending we've broken our transfer record twice this window, which is it's mind-boggling, right? Because the last 3 January windows before this one, we'd spent a massive £1 million in total over 3 January windows, and I think if you add the McKennie money on, I think we're close to probably 80 million this window, including whatever we're paying for Montero as well. I don't know how much that is.
Well, I mean, I think the last time we broke a record in January, this is a really negative thing to say, but the last time we broke a record in January was a certain John Kevin Augustin, I believe.
Wow, I mean.
But we'll move on. We'll move on quickly.
The good old days.
Nothing against John Kevin Augustin, but let's move on from that one quickly. But listen, I feel really positive now going into the second bit of the season. I really genuinely do now. I think you'll say yourself, CK, I've been quite negative in recent weeks, but I think we've got the business done that we needed to get done, really. I think Weston McKennie at first, I was thinking, that's a player coming in who's hardly played much football, but when you look more into it, you kind of see, actually the Juve fans like him. He has played well when he's played for Juve, and it's similar to the Mark Rocker at Bayern Munich situation, really, that he has got the talent, but there's so much talent already in midfield. They've already got top players in Weston McKennie's position. So, and he was only young as well, so he was only really brought in as a project for Juventus. But for Leeds, he's going to be a bigger player for us. He was going to probably. I think another thing that was mentioned as well, Weston McKennie, was that he never quite. The Juventus fans didn't quite embrace his character either, in terms of that he's quite a fun, charismatic kind of player, and he sounds a bit Alioski-ish to me. So I think he will be very popular. I think he'll be a very popular player in the dressing room and hopefully in the stadium as well. So let's wait and see. I mean, do you see him coming straight in, CK? I mean, we've kind of said already we might go to a 4-3-3, but do you see Forest? He gets thrown in straight away, or is he going to maybe just stick with the Adams-Rocker pairing for maybe the first couple of matches and maybe sub Weston McKennie in?
I see him getting minutes, but not starting against Forest. I think he sticks with Rocker Adams, but I think he'll get his full debut away at Scum. I think Jesse will try something a bit different. Although we've done well against the bigger teams, right? We've competed with them, but I think Jesse might try something a bit different. And I think again against a team who's going to try and come out and not sit in a low block, I think it probably plays into Weston McKennie's hands where he can break through the lines and be that late runner into the box. So I could see him potentially starting against Scum, but I think for Forest he'll be on the bench. I think we'll see. I think we might see Cine back starting, although you can't drop Willie Gnonto at the minute. So it's nice headaches to have, right? Rather than us saying, Jesus, we're going to have to fire up the 12-year-olds to sit on the bench.
Well, there's that. Yeah,
options now.
Like Archie Gray on the bench or something like that. Nothing against Archie Gray, by the way, but we're not having to put Archie Gray at like 14 on the bench kind of thing. It is something good. We're going to look at benches this season, our bench, the rest of the season, and say that's a good bench. That we are going to say there's a lot of game changes on there.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Definite game changes. Like even at the minute, Rodrigo's knocking the goals in, so you can't theoretically drop him. Bamford's looking really sharp. I think he's had a goal since he came back. He's had a goal or assist every 31 minutes on his return from injury, which is superb. But you can't drop Rodrigo. But what an option off the bench Patrick Bamford is. Georginio Rutter with his pace and power late into a game. Harrison, Cine, all sorts. Crescencio Somerville to come back, Willie Gnonto.
Willie Gnonto.
It's just like, how do you pick? But and again, especially at the business end of the season with compressed fixture lists and stuff like that at times, we've got options to rotate as well, which I don't remember us having. I don't remember us having for quite a long time.
We didn't even have it. The season we went up from the Championship and won the title by like 10 points, we didn't actually have a particularly big squad. It was kind of the same 11 every week, and we made like maybe 1 or 2 subs a game kind of thing. It was, or you could always predict what the substitutions would be as well. It'd be Tyler Roberts coming on, or Jamie Shackleton, you know what I mean? It would always be, you know, those kind of subs. But it feels now that we've almost got 2 teams now, which is all you can kind of ask for. It's been a long time since we've had that. Probably Bielsa's first season, actually. You know, I think it's probably the last time I can think of where we kind of genuinely had 2 decent starting 11s, where we could go quite deep into cup competitions and really take that side of things seriously. Rotate when we've got 3 games in the week. You know, all these bits and pieces, really. You know, it is massively key for us, and I'm sure, you know, as the weeks go by, we'll all have our opinions on what the strongest 11 is. But the good thing is that it's a real debate now. It's not like a case of we might disagree on 1 or 2 players. We'll be disagreeing on 4 or 5 players now, because we'll say, oh, he can start, he's not in good enough form, so he can start instead. You know, Brendan Aaronson's a classic example, really. You know, last season, you know, I'm not going to compare Brendan Aronson to Dan James. I think he's a far better player than Dan James, but it's a similar scenario where he's coming for big money, but we didn't have the depth to kind of rotate Dan James out of the team. We had to keep playing Dan James out of position because we had no other options in the first place. And we didn't have any other options in his best position either. So we had to play week in, week out in his wrong position. Yeah. With Brendan Aronson, I think he's been playing better than Dan James, but he has dropped off massively since the World Cup. I think there was a little confidence issue potentially there with Brendan Aronson at this moment in time. We can rotate Brendan Aronson out of the team. We can allow him to rebuild his confidence in the cup competitions, for example, or where we have 3 games in a week, or off the bench. You know, we have got options in that. And I won't be disappointed if we now persisted with players that are out of form. Yeah, I'm not saying we're going to do that, but if we did do that, that would be massively frustrating with the squad that we built.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I think for me, like against Forest, Brendan Aronson would be on the bench. I think it's good for him. I think he needs that little break. He's trying too hard at the minute, basically. Yeah. I think is what's happening. He's in his own head, very much like Jack Harrison can be, in his own head and overcomplicating things. So take him out. And to be fair, you're probably looking at Jack playing at number 10 at the minute, because I think he's been really good in there. And then you can argue about who's around him on either side, because there's just a wealth of options. But yeah, that's it now. We've got that. Oh, you know, Rodrigo hasn't scored for 3 games. Cool. Well, let's get start Paddy and see if he can get a couple of goals or whatever, or get Georginio in there, because we need, you know, a team that's going to play a low block or whatever, and we need someone to break the lines. There's options, and it's so nice to see. And I just wish we had one more option in defence, just another right footer, because although let's be honest, people are saying, oh, this Monteiro, he's only 18. But the same people are saying, bring Charlie Creswell back. You're like, well, if you want one, then you can't really argue about the other. And this kid, he might come in and be another Willie Gnonto. And within a couple of weeks, Jesse's like, oh, this kid's an absolute baller.
But he played over 30 games for the Portugal youth side. So there's clearly talent there. You know, listen, Portugal have always produced really good centre-backs. Pepe, Carvalho, Diaz. You know, they've always produced really good centre halves. You know, they've always produced really good talent, Portugal. So for him to get 30 starts already by the age of 18 across the youth group suggests to me that probably the Portugal senior teams are probably looking at him at this moment in time. You know, there has to be Victor Orta seeing something. And we're seeing with Victor Orta, like you said with Willie Gnonto. Yes, Willie Gnonto might have played more football, but he's also older. He's also like a year older than what Monteiro is. So, you know, and we've already seen with Willie Gnonto, a lot can happen in a year. So, you know, with that year of development, we know Jesse Marsch is good with, you know, developing players into first team starters. No matter what you think of Jesse Marsch tactically, you can't deny that the likes of Rodrigo, the likes of Harrison, the likes of Gnonto, the likes of Somerville, you know, they've all improved a lot, I think, under Jesse Marsch's coaching as well. So let's see how it goes, really. You know, I think he's another option in there, Monteiro. And like you said with Charlie Creswell, I personally think Charlie Creswell probably should come back to us. You know, if we let Llorente go, then Charlie Creswell should come back to us. But then I'd rather have 5 options than 4. So why not bring Charlie Creswell and Montero back in, or Montero back in and put Charlie Creswell out on loan again, or bring Creswell in, put Montero out on loan. There's options there, to play around with things. But I do agree with you. I think right back's the only position of concern for me at this moment in time. I think Christensen was better against Accrington Stanley. We thought he got forward well, but I still think we need a bit more consistency from our fullbacks. I think certainly on that right side of situation. I think Junior Firpo, listen, we're still hopeful he can get to the levels he was at Barcelona or Betis. And with Berger on this side, there's potential for that. But we really need to see Rasmus Christensen and Bill Ayling kick on now, and one of them to really make that position their own, or them to both really drive each other on. Because it just feels like when one plays, all of a sudden the other one becomes much better, kind of thing. In terms of the Twitter, the Twitter narrative in that lot, it's like, why is Christensen not playing? Or when Ayling's playing, when Christensen's playing, why is Ayling not playing? The reality is that neither player has really made that position their own. Probably all season really, they've both made mistakes. We just need a little bit more from those positions. But listen, I wasn't expecting us to completely rebuild our whole defence in one window. I don't think that would have been a good idea either, in terms of making 3 or 4 defensive signings. It never works. The Chelsea theory, it just doesn't work. It's just not practical. And I'm glad we haven't gone down that route. We've got the perfect balance to me. But in the summer, I think that right back situation, if it doesn't improve, we might need to be a bit more ruthless on that. That's what I'd say there.
Yeah, I think that's fair, mate. And I just wanted to mention Mick's comment here. We can all have personal opinions about the tactics. It isn't a great watch at times. I completely agree. I'm not arguing that. But what we're doing here is we're buying players to suit the system that Jesse wants to play. So what I'd like to see is an improvement of that methodology. Whether I like watching it or not, I'd like to see it become more productive and us get more out of it. Now we're bringing in players who suit that system. So, it's not which, but, at the end of the day, he's the manager and that's the way he wants to play. And I'll sit here and scream and cry about it because it does my head in at times when there's 15 acres of land free over on the right-hand side or whatever. But it is what it is. So, but we're buying players now to suit the system. So that's, again, what we're talking about when we say, we now need to see an improvement in performances, in points, etc. It's got to come now.
No excuses now, is there? There is absolutely, there is no, even the most, the strongest, most positive Jesse Marsch fans. I think we're probably more on the fence, I think, at this moment in time, maybe going a little bit more towards are we really seeing any progress with this project kind of side of the fence, I guess. In general, I think obviously Scott's probably the most positive of us all about Jesse Marsch. But even Jesse Marsch's biggest fans, there is no defence if the performances don't pick up and the results don't pick up, because he's got a squad. As he said against Accrington Stanley, we saw with Georginio Rutter, who, looking at kind of like where he was playing, he was kind of like the right winger in the team, but he wasn't playing on the right wing because we were so narrow. As Mick said, listen, I do agree with Mick. I'm not a massive fan of being so narrow, but if you've got players that suit the system, it all of a sudden looks a lot better. We could have had, I know it's Accrington Stanley, but we could have had a lot of goals on Saturday if we'd been a little bit more clinical. Because I know we're lauding the performance of Rutter and Bamford, but they did miss a lot of chances as well. If they had the shooting boots on, they would probably win that 6 or 7. To be totally honest, I don't think that's an exaggeration either.
No, I think Stinney alone probably should have had at least a hat trick.
Yeah.
Rutter missed one quite early doors where he dragged it wide of the post. We could have easily had 6, 7, 8 in that. Accrington Stanley could have had another 1 or 2 maybe as well. It could have been an 8-3 quite easily, but it's just, and again, what I don't like, mate, is unfair criticism. I'm happy with criticism, etc., but the cup tie was a typical FA Cup tie for me, a lower league against a Premier League team. First 20 minutes, you've got to ride it out. It's their cup final. They're going to come at you. They're going to climb all over you.
Oh, they have to score the first goal. That's it. If they don't score the first goal, they're done for in that game.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to earn the right for your quality to be allowed to play to your level. And we did that for the first 15, 20. And it was ugly. It was awful to watch for the first 15 minutes. But then the quality shone through. And I think I'm all for criticising, anyone if they deserve it, to be honest. But I think there's been a bit of harsh criticism, and people have just made their mind up on him. And I'm like you, I'm on the fence, then I hop off it, and one week I might be one side of it, the next week I might be the other side. That's exactly where I am, mate, at the minute. And I can understand, I said this before, I can understand everyone's opinions on both sides of the argument, which says to me, I'm plumb in the middle, and I don't like it. I'd rather be fully bandwagon Jesse in or bandwagon Jesse out. I don't like this hopping around on a fence. It doesn't suit me, but it's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, listen, I totally agree. You know, I'm probably more towards the other way at this moment in time. We're thinking, are we really going anywhere at this moment in time? But the Accrington game, I think the thing is, listen, I watched Southport play. I'm not comparing Accrington to Southport, but I kind of knew what to expect from Accrington. You know, John Coleman had managed my old club Southport as well, my hometown club, and it's one of them where I kind of knew how they were going to approach it. A lot of former Southport players as well in that game too, so I knew what they were like. I knew Doug Farm was going to try and, you know, take Patrick Bamford out of the first opportunity. He was going to be like that all game because he was like that for Southport. You know, I knew what to expect, that they were going to try and rattle us a little bit. And then maybe they did first 15 minutes. But things like, we should have played at the back more, so comments like that. We didn't keep the ball particularly well. Did you see the pitch?
It was awful.
Do you want Ilan Melier to try and play? I think Ilan Melier is a really good goalkeeper, but I don't want him to try and play the ball at the back if he's not particularly great at doing it, you know, especially on a bad pitch. You know, listen, normal Premier League game, I prefer us to play out the back and try and keep the ball and work it through the thirds, get it into Adams, get it into Rocker, and build from there. But in that game, I think it was sensible from us, you know, in terms of the way we approached it, where we just went long. Georginio Rutter, Bamford, both could hold it up, both will challenge for a 50-50 in the air, on the ground, whatever. There was no real case to play it along the ground because you saw the pitch. That was what probably Accrington wanted us to do. I bet Accrington didn't water that pitch. I'm not blaming them for it. That's what the cup's all about. You know, it was a classic cup tie, but you've got to play it like a cup tie as well. We were never going to be. It was always going to have moments of trouble at 0-0, and that's exactly what you said there. But yeah, I'm not saying the game, the fact we won it, makes me think anything more or less of Jesse Marsch, but certainly not going to think less of him. The fact that we won a really tricky tie. Our previous records in these games, CK, when's the last time we won a game like that in the cup? I can't remember. We've actually gone to an away team and turned up. I'm not saying we shouldn't expect to beat Accrington Stanley, but I'm saying that we got beat by Sutton, we got beat by Histon, Kettering we drew with, all
Crawley.
These games over the years. Crawley, you know, it's been so many years of this, and these are lower than Accrington as well. Accrington in League One, so they're lower than them as well, and we've lost these games. So.
And not just lost them, mate, like the Crawley game. We got battered.
Yeah, we were horrendous. And we had good players on the pitch as well. We had Rafinha was on the pitch, etc., etc. So, you know, it's very much a point. But I'm not going to say all of a sudden we beat Accrington and positive about the Forest game. I'm not going to say that at all. But I'm going to say that we saw a little bit more about what we're trying to do onto Jesse Marsch, you know, with this narrow system. The fact that Rutter, Bamford, Harrison, and Sinisterra, they were like playing the square almost, and they never kind of like, they all moved together, the same parts of the pitch kind of thing. So when the ball was on the right hand side, they all moved together. Left hand side, they all moved together, and you actually saw, I felt, against Accrington, how that can work a little bit. Listen, I'd rather us be a little bit more where the wingers are playing as wingers, but if we can be like that every week, and this can translate to higher level football, I've no problem with it. No problem with it at all.
It's a slight tweak that I'd love to see, mate, and it doesn't feel like a big one, but it goes against Jesse's principles, and that is if we've got three of our attackers in a little confined space on the left-hand side, like we saw a lot against Brentford, I just want whoever's playing on the right-hand side to just go and hug the touchline. Yeah. Let Rocker come into the space in the middle, and all of a sudden, if the ball springs out of that tight three then and Rocker finds it, you are in acres of space. And it's just a little technical tweak where I think that's not a big ask. You don't have to make the pitch wide all the time, but just do it sometimes and just send a man out wide. Right, go hug that fucking line, and if the ball comes to you, winning. If it don't, get on your bike and get back quickly. It's a
decoy as well. You know, even if the ball doesn't get over there, the left back, say if it is on that right side, the left back's always got to have his eye on what the guy on the right's doing. You know, he's got to play. He's got a good drop in a bit wider as well, and then there's a little bit more space there. Other centre backs got to switch across, and I agree. That's part of my frustration at times, where I think, and even off the ball as well, when we defend really narrow, where it's like that, and we're trying to defend the space that big kind of thing. That frustrates me as well. I can see why we do it, but I kind of think maybe we need to tweak it a little bit, where maybe the right back pulls along a little bit further, and we're not as narrow. We can't get done on the sides as easily. That's my frustration a little bit with Jesse Marsch at this moment in time. But the board's sticking with this system. The board believes in this system. Jesse Marsch believes in this system. He's been given the players to work in this system. He has to give the results as well. That's something that I think we've made clear on this video, to be honest. But that was the only point we're trying to make, guys.
Yeah, and do you know what as well, mate? Like you say about defensively, again, what I'd like to see, especially now and again, it's what I'd like to see, I'm not saying it'll happen, is we do, now McKennie's in, is revert back to that single pivot, as we know it, the KP role with Tyler in there. And then defensively, Tyler can drop in between the centre-backs, which allows the left or the right back, wherever opposite to where the play is, to stay wider and stop that ball over the top. Then if it comes in the middle, Tyler can step out and go and challenge for the ball. And it stops that acres of space over our left or right back's shoulder. And again, it just feels like quite a simple solution to a man whose managerial career has been 3 seasons on Football Manager. But,
but who was it? The Rhymes manager?
Rhymes manager, yeah.
Listen, we can have our opinions now. That guy's a hero, and to everyone to every armchair football fan, that guy's an absolute hero, because you can have your own say.
Mate, it's unbelievable, isn't it? 12 unbeaten, including drawing with PSG. And
PSG last night.
Yeah. And he learned on Football Manager. Wicked. I love that.
Download the tactic. What did I do last time I played PSG? Listen, it could work. It could work. Imagine if we ended up pointing him at one point, though. The reaction. You imagine someone who's managed on Football Manager. You what? Kind of thing. I just imagine that reaction.
Mate, it'd be a very lazy type thing, wouldn't it?
But yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? You can just imagine the reaction to that. But listen, it's one of those things. But as you say, just to add to that comment you made about going to playing Tyler in that Calvin role, the fact that Weston McKennie has played at right back for a lot of the season, he knows what his right back wants from his midfielder, kind of thing. If that makes sense. He knows where he wants. It's just it's a very Bielsa way of thinking, but it's something that could really work quite well for us.
I think, and I saw someone's sort of tactical breakdown on Weston McKennie and how he's played for Juventus at different times. And I think even when he has played in a 3, the right of a 3, he does defensively, he does tend to drift and sort of help cover the right back, which is something we need. We need the same on the left as well with, Firpo and then Aylin and/or Rasmus on the right-hand side. Aylin was better in the last game against Brentford because I've been on his case.
I thought it was the best game of the season, to be honest.
Yeah, so did I.
Didn't go up that far.
Yeah, so there's just little tweaks I'd like to see, which I think, again, looking at it through the lens of a fan, would make us look a lot better and probably a little bit more compact without being as compact, as stupid as that sounds. We'd be far less susceptible, and we've got to sort this thing out from transitions from our own corners because.
Oh yeah, that's probably the main one. The Villa goal, even that goal against Atkinson, where you're thinking, how are we conceding from there? It's a one long punt up the pitch, and that was punter said, by the way, just in case the camera didn't pick that up. It was punter said then. But yes, it was. I'm not going to say I didn't say the other words when the goal went in, but yeah, it was a bad goal. It was still. It put me right back down to earth where I was thinking, we're going to keep 2 clean sheets in a row. And then, we managed to let Atkinson score. But, listen, I did think there was some overreaction in terms of the first half an hour. I agree with you on that, CK, in terms of, to the performance. I just felt it was important just to get the first goal. Yes, it was a moment of quality, but that's what ultimately happens in cup ties. It is sometimes just a moment of quality.
Leicester got past a League 2 team with a deflected goal. Do you know what I mean? It's the cup. It happens.
No, exactly.
It is what it is. It's awful. We should know that, being Leeds fans, with the amount of times we've had our arses handed to us in recent years by lower league teams.
Yeah. Since January the 3rd, 2010, to be honest with you, we've been pretty horrendous in cup competitions, I think, ever since that day. But listen, this might be the season to change that. Who knows? It might be the season to change that. But yeah. Let's anything else you guys want to talk about? Let us know.
Let's give a quick mention to Diego Llorente, who who's in Rome at the minute, finalising his deal. I think we've given him absolute pelters, and let's be honest, quite rightly, the game that sticks in my mind is Brentford, where I think he was probably responsible for 4 of their 5 goals. But that first season he arrived, he did soften the blow of Ben White not coming to us. I thought he was really, really good in that first season. He's dropped off. I don't think he suits the Premier League. I think it's too hectic for him. I think Italian football will suit him. And I think he'll play well at Roma. And I hope he does, because then they'll sign him permanently. And we won't see him back in Leeds. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. I just don't think he's right for us in the Premier League. But I wish him well. And hopefully his career kicks on now at Roma under Mourinho. It was a bomb scare at Leeds, but, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes it's like
it is. I mean, it's one of them. I mean, people remember Sol Bamba at Leeds, and listen, Llorente got a lot more technical quality than Sol Bamba. But Sol Bamba, when he first came, was absolutely unreal for half a season. He probably kept us up in the Championship at the time. And Llorente kind of had a similar thing in the Premier League. The fact that when he came in, he was probably a man of the match contender week in, week out, really. You know, he was injured at first when he came in, but then he kind of second half of the season, he was first name on the team sheet, effectively, you know, in that centre-back spot. And he really kept, you know, held his own. But I agree with CK. I think the Premier League doesn't suit him as well as what La Liga did or what the Serie A will do. I think he'll do well at Roma. I think the fact he's worked with Mourinho before suggests that Mourinho doesn't re-sign people he doesn't like. Yeah, let's be very clear about that. So he definitely values Juventus' character. Sometimes that's been criticised by Leeds fans. That has been criticised, but that tells to me that, you know, he is someone that Mourinho likes. So that, you know, it's hard to like for someone to for Mourinho to like someone. So that's a pretty big thing as well. But I do think it'll suit him a lot better. Slower league, bit more technical. You know, maybe not as much goal mouth action, not as much speed, transitioning. I think it probably will suit Llorente better. But let's see how it goes. I wish him all the best, 100%. That first season, he was mega. Hasn't quite fully worked out as we hoped, but sometimes that's football, isn't it? And that's all about being proactive in that situation, not being sentimental. That's something that the club's been accused of a lot. But I think the fact that Klick's left, the fact that Llorente's left, other players have left in the last sort of 18 months shows that the club isn't being sentimental. It is being quick and proactive about situations. And, you know, some will say that's the right thing to do. Some will say it's the wrong thing to do. But ultimately, you can't just play the same players. You know, 3 or 4 years on the bounce, you have to have squad rotation. You know, players age at different speeds, all these different bits and pieces. You have to have that, you know, constant rotation. You know, especially now. You know, you've got 5 subs. Teams are spending stupid amounts of money. I mean, you know, you're looking at like Nottingham Forest coming into this league, spending stupid amounts of money. You have to react to that. You really have to react to that. And if you don't, you get found out. Look at Leicester. Leicester were flying. They've stuck with the same players. All of a sudden, they're facing a real battle to stay in the league. They won the FA Cup 18 months ago. You can't stand still. You can't stand still at all. But I do wish Llorente all the best. I do like this comment as well. I do like this comment. If I can show it. Hang on. That is some size laptop, Oscar. Has to use up a lot of electricity. It's not actually that bad. I think it's just the perspective on this camera is making it look a lot bigger than what it actually is. It's making it look bigger than me, actually, the laptop, isn't it? Hearing me.
Yeah, to be fair, it does look like you sat behind a 47-inch screen TV.
I'll say it is. I'll say this is a special 47-inch size TV. But yeah, listen, I think we'll leave it there, mate. Big thanks to everyone for watching. And just a quick reminder as well, we've got some fantastic sponsors on this video. I'm just going to show you what they are offering at this moment in time. Bear with us 1 second, guys. I hope you can see this. Okay, hopefully you can see that now. So let's start with the fantastic football prizes. We'll leave the link in the description down below, but they've got a brilliant prize on offer here. Look at this. We've spoken about them already. The current midfield pairing, Tyler Adams and Mark Rocker. Look at this. Dual signed and dual framed Leeds United shirt display of these 2 players with LED lights as well. Even better, with LED lights. It's under £5 a ticket to enter this. It's £4.95 a ticket. 299 tickets available, and the competition ends on Thursday. This Thursday, 7:30. You've got 3 days to enter this brilliant competition. Tyler Adams and Mark Rocker, the future, the current fantastic Leeds midfield. And we have also
I'd have to go buy some tickets on that now.
There you go. CK's getting involved. And we have also got a brilliant event coming up. Hopefully you can see that, CK. Lucas Radeby live.
Yeah.
It is with, as well, Dom Matteo. So you've got Lucas Radeby and Dom Matteo. From one fantastic midfield pairing to an absolutely unbelievable, legendary centre-back pairing. Lucas Radeby live, Friday the 10th of March at Ellen Road. At Ellen Road as well on Friday the 10th of March. Check this one out, guys. Ticket information is on the link in the description down below. But make sure you check this one out. The Chief is coming to Leeds. You don't want to miss out on this one. And of course, a special guest appearance by Dom Matteo as well. What a fantastic opportunity that is. Friday, the 10th of March. Do check that one out for us, guys. And we will leave it there, guys. Hopefully that's looked okay on the camera. I've just tried a new setup, as you can see. Let us know in the comments down below if you like it or not. We'll leave it there anyway. CK, big thanks for jumping on, and we're live again tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Might have another video as well for you as well, reacting to other bits and pieces about Leeds at this moment in time. So keep it locked, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, get in the comments, etc., etc. See you later, guys.